Let's rewind for a second. You've seen this moment. An actual tank ripping through cars on a highway. Massive explosions, a high-speed chase. It's absurd, over the top, and exactly what you'd expect from Fast and Furious.
They got a tank!
But here's the kicker. Most of this was done without CGI. Yeah, real stunts, real cars, and a real tank. So how exactly do you film something this crazy? Today we're going behind the scenes of one of the most jaw-dropping sequences in the franchise. Spoiler alert, it's even more complicated than it looks. First, let's talk about the location. You can't just roll a tank down any highway. The crew found the perfect spot in Tenerife, a stunning island in Spain's Canary Islands. They chose a stretch of highway surrounded by hills with enough space to safely film the chaos.
Everything we do is going to be practical.
To have the Tenerife and Gran Canaria government say, hey, yeah, come over.
There's brand new highways you can wreck. It made all the difference.
Roll cameras, roll!
They had to shut it down completely, reroute traffic, and essentially turn it into a massive outdoor film set. The loan took weeks to plan. And it wasn't just about the logistics. Director Justin Lin wanted every angle to feel cinematic. So the team scouted the location for weeks, studying how the natural light hit the road, how the tank's size would look against the horizon, and where the cameras could safely track the action. This is the kind of detail that separates Fast and the Furious stunts from your average action movie. Building a Hollywood tank. Alright, let's talk about the tank. The tank you see on screen isn't just a prop. It's a heavily modified version of a real military tank. The production team stripped it down to make it lighter, reinforced it for safety, and added custom controls so the stunt driver could maneuver it at high speeds.
We had two real tanks. One of them had the full turret, which is 60 tons. Then the other one didn't have a turret on it. So we made a turret that was 20 tons lighter. So that was called the lightweight tank. And then we had two that we built on truck chassis.
Let's have some fun.
But we ended up using the real tank 90% of the time. There's no substitute for it. Just the feel of it rolling down the street.
At the core, it's a Chieftain World War II tank thing.
The real tanks only do 30 miles an hour. So far, we've done over 60 miles an hour.
It's a custom tank.
That was awesome, Lee. We hit both cars dead center.
But driving a tank on a closed set is one thing. Driving it over moving cars, that's a whole other challenge. The crew had to test how much pressure the tank could apply without getting stuck or damaging the highway itself. That's why a lot of those cars you see crushed under the treads. They wanted the destruction to look real, but they also needed to control every aspect of it.
Crushed the car like it was nothing.
Choreographing chaos. Here's the part you don't see. Every crash, every flip, every explosion, it's all meticulously choreographed. The stunt team worked for weeks rehearsing the timing of each move. Take the scene where the tank crushes a car while another flies into the air. That wasn't just luck. The cars were rigged with a hidden ramp to launch it into the perfect trajectory.
But to make a tank on an open piece of freeway interesting, you have to have head-on traffic.
And the timing had to sync with the tank's movement down to the millisecond. Safety was the top priority. With a 60-ton tank rolling through the set, there were no room for error. Stunt drivers, camera operators, and rigging teams were all in constant communication through headsets, making sure every move was executed perfectly. It's the kind of precision that makes this scene feel so chaotic, but also so controlled.
We had an overhead wire rig on our stunt double, but we had to give him enough room that he could jump to Brian's car. So we get it all up to speed, 3, 2, 1, now. He jumped it, sucked under that car in a heartbeat. There's nothing left, nothing left.
The tank flip. Yes, they actually flipped a tank. But here's the thing, it wasn't just one take. The production team built a massive hydraulic rig under the tank to launch it into the air. They rehearsed it over and over, testing different angles and camera setups to make sure they captured the perfect shot.
Flipping the tank was challenging We originally were told we're not going to flip it. And just days before it was time to do it, one of the tests worked really well.
In post-production, they added some visual effects to enhance the debris and explosions, but the actual flip, that was all practical, capturing the action. The only thing left to shoot, which needed some heavy CGI, was the big leap at the end from Letty, which they shot on green screen and composited into the highway sequence later on. Even Brian's escort jump was real. This jump was driven by a real stunt driver, not remote controlled, not a dummy, but a real stunt driver. And he had to do it twice because the first time he flipped it. They also rigged up this debris filled with fake concrete, so when the tank shot the bridge, a bunch of debris would rain down. To capture this level of chaos, you need cameras everywhere. The crew used drones, camera rigs, and high-speed cameras mounted on vehicles to follow the action. Some shots were even filmed from inside the cars, giving the audience a first-hand perspective of the destruction. It's all about putting the viewer in the middle of the action. At the center of all this madness is director Justin Lin. He's known for pushing the limits of what's possible in an action scene, and this tank sequence is no exception. Lin worked closely with every department, stunts, visual effects, camera operators, to make sure every detail felt authentic. His philosophy is simple. Practical effects give the audience something tangible, something real, and it's hard to argue with the results. This tank scene isn't just a random moment of chaos. It's the result of more than a decade of pushing the boundaries of practical effects. If you look back at the very first Fast and Furious movie, the stunts were simple, grounded, real cars, real streets, and real drivers. But as the franchise grew, so did the stunts. The stakes kept getting higher, flipping trucks, dragging safes, jumping skyscrapers, and now tanks. But here's the thing, through all of that, the franchise stayed true to its roots. Sure, CGI plays a role, but it's used to enhance, not replace. The heart of these movies lies in their practical effects. When you see a car flip, it's because a team of stunt drivers, engineers, and riggers making sure it could actually happen. It's this philosophy of doing it for real that keeps the audience coming back. So why does this scene work so well? It's not just about the explosions or the stunts, it's about the craftsmanship. Every detail from the location to the camera angles to the physics of the tank itself was carefully planned and executed. That level of effort is what makes this sequence stand out, even in a franchise known for its insane action. And that's the beauty of it. It's not just about what you see on screen. It's about hundreds of people behind the camera, working together to create something unforgettable. Practical effects might take more effort, but when they're done right, they create moments like this. Moments that stick with you long after the credits roll. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe and we'll see you in the next one.